Hi everyone, welcome to the Shills. Operator Starsky here. Very nice to see you tonight. And tonight we have a new update from Ukraine. This day was tough because it started around 1 a.m., something like that. We had a bunch of air alerts today, specifically since 1:38 a.m. and another one was in the morning around 7 a.m. Another one was in 11 a.m. And it was crazy. So the first alert was caused by multiple moped drones launched by Russians. We call them mopeds because this is exactly the sound they make when they fly. They sound like a lawnmower, and I'm serious. And basically, a bunch of them try to target Kiev. Something like 12 or 14. I cannot tell you specifically. Were launched against Mykolaiv. They were all luckily intercepted, and some 2 or 4 were launched in the direction of Kiev. They were intercepted as well, but one of those drones managed to basically penetrate our defense and fly over Kiev. It crossed a bunch of districts, including mine. And yeah, luckily it was destroyed, but yeah, we had some tough time tonight. Then in the morning there was a massive strike. There were something like 12 Russian Tu-160 bombers equipped with cruise missiles. They were in the air, and they launched those missiles against different targets all around the territory of Ukraine. So partially those missiles were intercepted. In particular, 5 of them were intercepted over Kiev, but a bunch of those missiles unfortunately hit their targets, specifically in Vinnytsia, in Lutsk. In Lutsk, those missiles hit the power facility. It was damaged. That's why something like 1 million people lost electricity instantly, which doesn't change much in terms of military situation in Ukraine whatsoever, because the electricity will be restored eventually. Plus, Ukraine is plugged into this European power grid. That's why even theoretically, even having 0 power plants in Ukraine, we will still have light. But on the other hand, it doesn't change anything in terms of the front lines. And aside of making Ukrainians even more angry and more united, I don't know if there will be any benefit for Russians in this regard. So a bunch of news, mainly related to Iranian drones, those mopeds. In the United Nations Security Council today, Russians again rejected all the accusations of using those drones. Funny thing that even a couple of days ago on podcast, basically it was a live stream of a TV show when defense counselor of Russian Federation asked, without knowing that the microphone was on, he asked the host of this show not to talk much about those Iranian drones, and he said, quote, "We all know they are Iranian, but our command prefers not to admit it." And now it's like everywhere on the internet. Also, Iran condemned the investigation because the United Nations is planning to bring their investigators and examine those drones. We have plenty of them already in Ukraine. We also have Mohajer 6 drone that was caught completely intact. Basically, one of Ukrainian soldiers shot its engine and it landed in the sea. So we towed it to the shore completely intact. Interesting thing about this drone is that while comparing to same drones, for example, at the military exhibition in Tehran, they have, of course, those Iranian flags all over those drones. But the drones that were brought to Russia, they have, of course, no Iranian flags. They have titles and different descriptions and placards on those drones written in English with mistakes, with bad grammar. Yeah, and another thing is that some of those drones have Russian stickers screaming that those drones were made in Russia, not in Iran. And that they don't usually do that. Like, I haven't seen any T-72 tank like ever in my life with huge Russian title on it saying T-72, because like, what was the purpose? Anyways, so Iranians condemned this investigation. It reminds me of that somebody mentioned that it's like when the kid says, I didn't take the chocolate, also don't check my room. It's so funny. And yeah, so those are the main news of today. Luckily, as for the casualties, we have information that 3 or 4 men were wounded. They received burns and stuff like that, but nothing very serious. And I don't think that we have killed as a result of this massive strike, because people were in the shelters and they took this very, very responsibly, in my opinion.
We seem to have just been joined by Nick, so that means Dave's about to leave. So we got a super chat in from Jean-Marc Paganel, but there's going to be a correction in what it says. So I'm just waiting for him to get back to me, and then we'll get a couple of super chats in. It's been a day. It's been a couple of days of really intense news. There must be some serious emotional turmoil going on for people that are, trying to live normal lives that are anywhere near the fighting right now, Starsky. It must be really, really, really tough.
It kind of is. It's kind of tougher for militaries, I would say, because, again, nothing new for Ukrainians. We were hit by Russian missiles earlier in February, March, in April. So this happens all the time. It's harder for military personnel, I would say, because military personnel often has to be on high alert. We have to make sure that civilians are safe. We have to make sure that during those alerts, missile alerts, people don't gather in big groups in malls and stuff like that, because it's very dangerous. So they should all be safe and secure.
Well, okay, yeah. So we've got this super chat sorted here. So Jean-Marc Paganel super chatted out, will Starsky go to the hill in case of emergency?
Go to the hill?
Yeah, I'm not 100%. So we'll get a clarification there to make sure we can get it in. And Jean-Marc threw $5 in the hat on that super chat. So big thank you. Big thank you. We got a couple.
You mean like Shikovica? Probably. So we have this. Let me explain this. Okay.
Yeah.
One girl made this publication. She was like famous here in local celebrity here in Ukraine. She made this publication saying that in case there is a nuclear strike in Ukraine, she will go to this mountain or hill in Kiev called Shekavica and have an orgy. And a lot of people supported her, and it's now a big meme here in Ukraine about the orgy on the Shekavica. Yeah, that's exactly.
Yeah. There we go. Yeah.
So it's a big joke here, very popular joke among Ukrainians. I will be there with the video camera because, like, you don't usually record an orgy and a nuclear strike at the same time.
The ultimate B movie.
Prioritize. Yeah. Like.
Okay, and then let me see here. We've got a couple more super chats in as well. There was Level 70 for $6.99 Canadian. Big shout. Thank you there, Level 70. Hi, Starsky. It seems Iran will be sending Russia some of their short-range ballistic missiles. Does Ukraine have anything to counter these?
We're expecting those from our allies, from Europe, from the US, unless some idiots out there will start saying that we shouldn't send weapons to Ukraine because Russian soldiers die, and then we won't receive anything and basically die.
Yeah. And so big thanks there, Level. Sorry, I got them all confused here. That was Level 70. Okay, and ZOMG 1103. Is there a way to pronounce that I don't understand because I'm just a sad old man? I'm not sure, but threw $5 into the hat. Big thank you. Big thank you. Good to see you, Starsky. Wanted to thank you for the captured drone disassembly on your channel. Shocked how many off-the-shelf parts were in it. I was too.
Yeah, it's an old video. Since then we found a lot of those. What was the most interesting about this drone, in my opinion, was basically it had its body, the airfoil and the airframe, this composite airframe, and the parachute, and probably this 3D printed mount for the photo camera. Those were the only Russian-made parts in this drone. Everything else was either stolen, snatched, or bought on AliExpress, including engines, because, of course, big, powerful Russia is too freaking proud to produce small engines for the airplanes.
I'm just checking with Claire here. Did you see in the back room there, there's the donation shout? Do you want to take that one?
Yep, sure. So this is from I can't see who it actually says though, Dick. What does that say?
Oh, Raven7.
Okay, from Raven7, donated $15.42. Hi, Shills. Starsky, I'm sorry Ukraine is suffering these attacks. However, Ukraine will still be victorious. On a positive note, what was really cool to blast White Cross on Spotify this week. Slava Ukrainian. So,
oh my God. Oh my God. Thank you so much. Because I published this song and I wasn't even sure if it's gonna be accepted. Then they rejected it because probably they didn't like the lyrics or something. So I added the lyrics just the way they are, with like English and Ukrainian lyrics probably I know. So they accepted it, and now it's on Spotify. They even offered me to claim the artist's page. Nobody called me like that before, so it makes me proud.
Wow, that's
Cool, man.
That
Yeah.
is very cool. Yes, that's very cool. Awesome.
I like it.
And thank you, Raven 7.
Yes, very much, very much. And we just had another one in from Jean-Marc Paganel. Thank you very much again. Threw another 5 into the hat. Much appreciated. Please play Starsky Ladder Short. Hilarious. You know what? I can cue that up in the background for a little later here. I got you covered.
Yeah, I want to vote second on that. That's a good one. That's a very good
So I wanted to make this song a bit because I was inspired by Always Look at the Bright Side of Life. It's my favorite song ever, and I wanted to to make it like more not as straightforward as in the skit. Unfortunately, I lacked musical talent for that, but I hope you liked it.
I don't have it. I got to find it. What's the actual title of it? What?
Let me find it for you. I will drop it into the chat in just a second.
Cool. Yeah, it's definitely worth a play. I can't argue that.
Yeah, it's dead easy to find. Starsky's track.
It's called I'm Sorry But. There it is in the chat.
Okay. Okay. Swing over here. There we go. Okay. And I hate all that autoplay and stuff. And, I can't seem to put it backwards. So I'll just get a window capture quick and then I'll, refresh the page. So hold on a second here. Sorry, but I have to do this on the fly. Wasn't quite ready. Today was barely, just get it together day.
I even got like a green screen because I know you guys I had a green. I was late because I was installing the thing. I come in, nobody's using it. Just fine. Fine, change it up on me.
Hold up. You
you
don't live in an 18th century antique store.
I was going to say, what an awesome office, but that's your green screen.
Yeah, but Dick was like, he liked the green screen and it was just the faces and okay.
I know, I totally screwed that up. You're not wrong. Let me make sure I got audio for everybody. I almost forgot to do that. And then I'll refresh this and we can have a little enjoyment with this video here. Okay, is it going to work? Let's see. I don't hear anything. Oh, it's muted up there.
Good morning. I have some awful news. Oh, Господи, don't tell me that it's true. Your only son, Fadey, got toasted in Ukraine, but I still have some better news for you. It's Lada, yes Lada, big red or white or blue, the glorious machine of our nation. We cover all the cost. I'm sorry for your loss. I'm sorry, but congratulations.
That's awesome. Well done, man. Well done.
Again, it's my tragedy because the song plays in my head every time I see Lada on a street, and we have a lot of those.
Yeah, I bet. Yeah, you have just given yourself the ultimate earworm you'll probably never get rid of now, right?
Yeah.
Oh, that's funny.
But I'm glad that I'm not the only one who suffers, because a lot of my friends text me and curse me for that.
Let's see here. Oh, okay. We got a super chat shout out. Level 70, $6.99 into the hat. Thank you, Level 70. Hi, Starsky. The offense into Lukashenko seems to have slowed down. Is this because of increased Russian resistance, or is Ukraine pausing?
I wouldn't say it slowed down because at this point we are eliminating a BTG a day or something like that. Today, 320 Russian soldiers were eliminated. Yesterday, something like 300. Day before yesterday, more than 500 soldiers. So every day we're eliminating a lot of them. You can see that the statistic of improved Russians in Ukraine is growing very, very fast, which is absolutely great. So yeah, today I saw a video of Louis C.K., one of my favorite comedians, and he was furious. He was like, take a look at those young Ukrainian people who celebrate deaths of Russian soldiers. I would love to take Louis to Bucha and show him why exactly we celebrate every time Russian invaders die.
Yeah. We've got one here from Barbacoa666. Barbacoa, I think I got that right. $10 into the hat. Big thanks. Awesome. Thank you very much. Just sending thanks. Well, let's get that up on the screen and give a big thanks right back to you. Awesome. Thanks. And we have one more here somewhere, if I can figure it out. Yes, it's ZoMyGod1103 or ZOMG. There's got to be something there. I just can't figure it out. $10 into the hat. So huge thanks. You once mentioned that reporting Russian bots on YouTube can sometimes backfire. Can you clarify on that?
Yes, I can explain. So YouTube, in case this person did not violate the community policy of YouTube, and YouTube algorithm or YouTube moderator finds that this person does not violate it, basically it's when they spread random Russian propagandist bullshit, and but at the same time there's no hate speech, there's no promotion of terrorism, nothing like that, and then you report this person. So after a while you can receive penalty for false reporting people. So it can backfire, of course. That's why you got to consider this.
Wow, that would really suck. Get yourself in trouble for trying to clean up the platform that you want to be on. It's not good. Not good. Well,
on the other hand, I don't have anything against that. Sometimes, of course, I block people who say complete bullshit on my channel, for example. But on the other hand, when people visit my channel and leave a lot of commentaries under my videos, and I'm talking specifically about Russian bots or pro-Russian bots, or those rapist supporters. So when they leave commentaries to my videos, it increases the reach and engagement with the audience, which makes those videos more popular and people see them more often in the related videos, which means that basically they help to promote my videos for free, which is cool.
Yeah. It's all about interaction and getting the algorithm to pick up on it and whatnot. So, absolutely. Let's see here. We Golden Skeptic says only paying customers will have their question answered. What a shill channel. Absolutely not. I could show you that in the background right now, a few people on the Shills team are collecting questions that are being asked by the viewers, and we are about to turn it over to viewer questions. Couple more minutes of patience, maybe, but that's it. Everybody does what they want to do. But speaking of questions, Dave, I bet we've got some good ones. So why don't we get to a few, see where we're at?
Absolutely. Space Wolf has not paid for this message. Operator Starsky, can you fill us in more on the operational status of the Goats of Kiev? whatever that is. I saw that they recently mobilized in support of the war efforts. Slava Ukraini.
Yes, of course, because a lot of volunteers, regardless of their sex, race, ethnicity, religious views, and especially the kind of being, right, whether it's human or an animal, they mobilized and they bring their support to Ukrainian people in Kiev, for example. It was like, I was scrolling through our channels on Telegram because we have a channel that lets us specifically track missiles while they're flying almost in the real time. And the guys were sharing different stuff there, and in the end, after that attack, there was a message saying something like, well, now everything looks back to normal in Kiev. And then there was this video with those goats crossing the road. Just another day in Kiev. Nothing special.
Awesome goats.
Yeah. What else we got there, Dave?
Welcome, Commander. By the way, I wanted to throw out one of my own because in your little introduction there was some good information on the Iranian, as you put it, moped drones, and I think I'm getting some pretty good information at the minute. So just try and confirm this for me. The drones in question are, relatively speaking, quite cheap and quite numerous as a result. There's something like $20,000 US, whereas the next step up is something like 300 grand. As far as I'm aware, they fire them off in clusters of 5 or something like that, and then they end up getting intercepted. I don't actually know the logistics of intercepting a drone, because that sounds quite difficult.
Yeah, so usually they are fired at swarms, in swarms, sometimes in pairs. Sometimes there's 2 drones, sometimes 4, sometimes 6. But yes, we're using different measures to intercept them. This could include anti-air systems like OSA. That's Soviet-made anti-air system, but it's like very effective. And of course, we always have our Air Force scrambling in the air, and they do their job as well. Air Force are better at intercepting cruise missiles, though. The drones, if we're talking about those mopeds, so they are not really fast. They travel at the speed of something like 150 knots, maybe 170, or is it 170 kilometers per hour? Something like that. Not really fast, but they can change their trajectory, and the original drones that were delivered from Iran, they have their internal inertial system of guidance. Those drones that are currently being used by Russians, equipped with Russian GLONASS system, and it's analog of GPS, basically, and that's why it makes them more precise and I would say more deadly. Russian cruise missiles are not that precise. One of the reasons is that those X-101, for example, missiles, they were specifically created to carry nuclear warheads, and nuclear warheads don't require a big precision, so it doesn't matter if it strikes directly into a target or like 1 kilometer away. So that's why they're not very precise, and that's the reason why they strike civilian objects a lot. Unfortunately, the drones are more precise, they're more cheap to produce, and yeah, and it's like it's a cheap, sophisticated weapon, basically. Russians use those to supplant their missiles, basically. And they are successful in supplanting their cruise missiles, but they are not very successful in reaching any military goal whatsoever. I don't know. Some soldiers will sleep a bit less. Some kids won't be able to play Roblox because they will have no electricity. And this doesn't change pretty much anything, because Russians are losing a lot of their troops on the front lines. They are evacuating their personnel from Kherson at this point. We had information that they started to reduce the level of water in the Kakhovsky water reservoir, which is next to that Kakhovsky Dam that they want to that they planted mines at. So they are obviously preparing to retreat and destroy the dam and give up Kherson to Ukrainian troops. They already prepared their audience on the TV to that. I saw this Skabeyeva screaming about it just like yesterday in her TV show and stuff like that. So the only thing, the only reason why they are using those drones and those missile attacks on Ukraine is to show Russians that Ukrainians are also suffering. It's important, and Russians celebrate it very much. In their media, in Telegram channels, they are happy when they see those missiles striking residential buildings. They dance, they scream. They're so happy to see Ukrainian people suffering.
There was a follow-up question, if I may, Dick, from just Neela. It was actually the first question we got in. I would like to know how likely it is that Russia will try to blow up that dam, and what Ukraine can do to prevent this from happening. Which follows up.
Currently, what we're trying to do is we're trying to raise awareness, and we are trying to talk about it as much as we can, because Russians will try to blame Ukraine on that, and they already announced that Ukraine is preparing to destroy this dam, of course, because it's Ukrainian, and Ukrainians are known for being into suicide and self-bombing and self-raping and stuff like that. So that's why we're trying to talk about it, because if this happens, if this dam is destroyed, there will be consequences for all the Black Sea aquatorium. All the countries that surround Black Sea, like Bulgaria, Turkey, Georgia.
So, yeah, go for it there, Dave. Absolutely.
My earpiece cut out for a second then, and everything went silent. I was like, wait, what's going on? But yes, thank you. So in that case, obviously, that would affect you to dampen the fires, as it were. Wouldn't have much of an effect on the electricity. So in the long term, thinking more strategically about these sorts of scenarios happening in any developed country, how important is it that said developed countries such as Ukraine are 100% independent when it comes to their utilities, their electricity, their water, etc.? Given that you also mentioned that the Ukrainians are hooked up to the European power supply, but don't necessarily need to be dependent on it.
They don't. I think that countries, developed countries, they must have this opportunity to provide themselves with electricity, obviously, but at the same point, if we're talking about the global security, international security, we must be prepared to help other countries with our resources and electricity as well. For example, last month, I think, even despite the fact that there's a war in Ukraine, but our president ordered to deliver 100,000 tons of coal to our Polish brothers because we care about our allies, of course, and I think we have to cooperate as one, basically, if we want to survive.
Yeah. We've got a couple of shout outs in, so let's turn over to Claire and make sure everybody gets their big moment.
Yes. First one we have is from Gloria Raquel, donated 1364. She says, Slava to the goats and one sheep in Kiev. Okay. Thank you very much.
Awesome.
Very good. And from Julie Noir, we have the Crones, 100 Russian ships have passed over 140 over Norwegian gas pipelines to Europa. 7 Russian tourists have been arrested for flying drones over gas installations. Why sabotage? Could the Article 5 be used? That's a question for Starsky, I'm sure.
Yes. Or Nick.
Probably yes, because it's again it's a terrorism. But oh my God, I wanted to say something wise. But I'm old. My memory is so bad. For example, today we saw that another missile that was launched from Black Sea flew over the territory of Moldova. I'm not sure if they will confirm that, but on our maps, we clearly saw that it was crossing the territory of Moldova, and it's not the first case already. In the beginning of this war, there was a case when a UAV crashed in Croatia, not far from Zagreb, I think. And from its remains, because at the beginning we thought that probably some kind of Russian cruise missiles just flew to Croatia. From what we identified from those wrecks was that it was a Russian Tu-144, I believe, jet UAV, and it crashed in the area that is called the same way as another area in Ukraine, in the Western Ukraine. So it crashed there, and from what I remember, its range is something like 1,000 kilometers, and it was exactly 1,000 kilometers from that launch site in Belarus that it took off from. So obviously they used like the probably GPS or GLONASS, that Russian GLONASS, and confused the areas. So instead of going to Ukraine, it went to the same area only in Croatia. I don't remember how they commented on this. I mean, Croatian authorities, but we gotta check actually that information. But again, it clearly shows that you cannot tolerate monkey playing with a grenade in your neighborhood, because somebody is gonna get hurt.
Okay.
Just to clarify on Article 5, because it's important. No, a violation of a sovereign airspace does not constitute a violation or will not trigger Article 5. Article 5 can only be triggered by an armed attack on a member of NATO. So if it's not an actual armed attack, Article 5 is not triggered.
Oh, cool. Okay.
Okay, and I'm going a little out of order, but it's related to Article 5. So from Jean Mark Pagan Owl, for $5, if the mistake had hit the RAF and did not miss Article 5 and 6. if the missile had hit the RF and did not miss Article 5 and 6. In other words, if it didn't hit it, I don't know what that means.
It sounds like the question is if there had been an incidental hit, if the missile had actually struck a NATO member state. In that case, NATO has a choice, so they can decide to interpret it as an attack if they want to. They probably won't, especially since in this case, it by nature of the question, it wouldn't have been. So what's going to end up happening is NATO will recognize the mistake. I'd spoken about this last time too, when the U.S. dropped 5 bombs on an embassy in a Chinese embassy. Which was an accidental strike. It has to be a deliberate attack for Article 5 to be triggered.
And if I got that question incorrect, Jim or Pig, and I'll please add me in the chat and I'll put it on the list. Thanks. Okay. Our next super chat is from DD Leechugs for 10. What happened to the ghost drone that was supposed to be just what Ukraine needed? NATO has suicide drones as well. What about drone that Poland had that held 8 bombs that rotated like a gun barrel?
Fact is, those drones are a lot of them are being used. We saw Switchblade 300 being used on the front lines. We saw a lot of drones carrying mortar shells being used as well. Some of those drones are able to carry 6 or 8 mortar shells. They are very, very big. There are smaller drones, but I think those are customized to drop VOG 17, those smaller grenades. I can say that some of those drones probably either not used due to security reasons, because Russians deploy plenty of anti-air systems at this point. If it was more chaotic early in this invasion, then currently it's different. They improve their tactics, of course. There's a whole analytic department in their GRU, the external intelligence, whatever. So where we cannot use them due to anti-air threat, of course we will not risk of using them. On the other hand, sometimes it's better not to manifest that we are using those drones in specific areas, because knowing the range of those drones, it can be easily recognized where those drones are being stationed at. So probably that's another reason. At least I think so. That's exactly what I would do. I mean, if I was responsible for this war, I think I wouldn't post as much videos of, oh my god, I thought Nick had a green screen, but it's like an actual room. That's
yeah, no, this is my office. That bookcase is almost 250 years old. All the original glass, all the books are real. The posters. That's a poster of Deadwood, one of my favorite shows up there. Studio 60,
Oh, cool.
Martin Luther King Jr., a few other things. So no, that's a real set.
Holy duck!
All right.
I thought at first when I saw Nick with like green screen behind him, I was like, "Wow, like green screen." Then I see that room, and I was like, I thought all the time that this room was real. Probably it's like a green screen. And then I saw Nick
complete fucking mind fuck.
fixing that curtain.
Well, no, last time I was here, you guys all had the blue or the green thing added, but I actually had a green screen, so I was going to put it up, and then I was just like, oh, I take all this time. You know what? Actually, this set isn't for my show. I did this just for you guys, and it took me months. I come on, and all of a sudden, Dick's like, "No, by the way, Nick, do you mind using a green screen?" Fuck yeah.
Okay. On that, Starsky, we have another drone question for you from Zog 1103 for $5. Starsky, will we be able to see a dud failed Iranian drone disassembled on your channel?
If it lands somewhere near, then probably yeah. I hope it won't. It won't happen, of course, because those mofos carry something like 40 kilograms of explosives. But yeah, we'll see. For example, the drone that you saw on my channel, I think that time Kiev was still surrounded by Russian troops, and one of those drones landed in Hostomel, not far from Bucha, basically in the field. And we were able to collect that drone, bring it to our base, make this unboxing for you guys. Oh my god! It had a fuel tank made out of plastic bottle.
Oh no! Okay.
It had a fuel tank made of plastic bottle.
Wow. I can see why they're
destructive children could do better than that. Come on.
Oh my gosh. Okay. And another question for you from the super chats from level 70 for $6.99. Starsky, did the Kazravites finally reach Kiev, or were those just goats?
Those were just goats. I'm glad that they were safe. I'm glad that they were safe. They were not abused by Kadyrovites, because we know that they like exotic experiences.
Well said.
Guys, I'm not kidding. Google Kadyrov kissing a donkey. Right now.
What?
It's there.
Okay. That's interesting.
I don't think I'm going to Google that, Starsky. Thank you. I appreciate that, really, but that's not something I want to see.
Yeah, that's going to throw us off track just a little bit. But from Gene Mark Pagan Owl, a member for 2 months, for $10, he says, "Have Gepard been useful?"
I don't know yet. Unfortunately, I don't know yet, but I gotta check it out for you.
Okay. And we just for a little patience, we have 2 more to finish up, and then back to questions. From Tiny Captain, a member for 6 months. No inlet for the next 2 months, so last member chat for now. Sorry to hear that, Tiny Captain, that there's no inlet, but happy sales, I'm sure. Right. And from Christina, Forest Guide for $23.99 lira. How are you doing, Operator Starsky? What are we not understanding that you wished we would? Excellent question.
Indeed.
Guys, you understand everything well, in my opinion. The problem is, those statistics, there's usually like 14% absolutely crazy mofos that you wouldn't like even to touch with a stick. There are 14% of nice guys, and the rest is like a mess. In my opinion, it's a bit different because I see millions of decent people around the world supporting Ukraine, but still there's like 14% or something like that, smaller number of people that basically were your inspiration to create the Shills. I'm talking about flat earthers, anti-vaxxers, and shit like that. So those people are the problem, and not problem at the same time. They cause problem because they are into all of that conspiracy crap that you can find online. And the biggest problem is that most of those conspiracy resources about flat earth, about I don't know, some
mud flood and
secret military agreements between ruling nations, evil empire of America, and stuff like that. It's made by Russians, or they support Russians, or they're funded by Russians. We had this research that showed that a bunch of such websites are hosted in Russia, actually, like physically. There are websites like National Security Archive, which again has it contains a lot of like secret documents and stuff like that. But on that site, you can find a page in Russian because they have a lot of affiliates in Russia, in different Russian cities. And basically all those sources, they copy paste Russian propaganda. And that's why people who don't support Ukraine, who oppose this global support of Ukraine, including people who scream that they want peace, they want peaceful negotiations between invaders and people whom they're trying to kill.
How could that ever be the case? It's get the fuck out.
Yeah. So the problem is that those people verbally copy paste Russian propaganda. Let's check out the most popular Russian narratives, right? Narrative number one: you shouldn't international community shouldn't support Ukraine because it only escalates the situation. Putin talks about it. Putin's dogs talk about it because they're hurt because this international support of Ukraine keeps us alive, because this international support of Ukraine protects our cities from missile strikes, because this international support of Ukraine lets us hold our lines and not let those Russian invaders further into our territory, because when they go further into our territory, we have things like Bucha, Izium, Liman, right? Mariupol, and things like that. People don't want to understand that. I'm not talking about majority people. I'm talking specifically about those mofos, right?
Yeah.
And another most popular narrative is that again, like Nazi. Google Google U.S. Nazi soldiers, or Canadian Nazi soldiers, or UK Nazi soldiers, or French Nazi soldiers. You will find some idiots everywhere. There's a lot of nutters out there, right? In any country.
Dear Lord, every group, every situation, every country, every single grouping of humans, you have to have a percentage of idiots. There's no way around it. Evolution dictates that we have to have idiots. I don't know why, it just does.
Yeah, it's reality. And the interesting thing is that I suspect this, but I think that the percentage of Nazis in every country is approximately the same as like percentage of flat earthers in the society. So they're like everywhere. Like there are assholes everywhere. Okay.
Golden Skeptic is proving that right now in our live chat. I mean, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. So what else? West bad. West very bad. Because West does despicable things to other countries. That's like narrative spread by Russians. Okay, there are people in America, for example, who say the same shit because, I don't know, for different reasons. So some of the craziest commentaries on my channel from an American person was, what if this guy is a CIA agent? Guys, tell me honestly, are you afraid of security services in your countries? I don't believe that you are afraid of CIA, FBI. I'm not afraid of Security Service of Ukraine for some reason. Probably because they protect my citizens from terrorism. Probably because I worked there. I know how it works. I mean, the security sector of Ukraine, for example. Probably people who have to hide something from them do afraid of them. I don't know. Anyways.
Yeah.
Anyways.
Do we have one more shout to do we, Claire?
We have one more left, and it's from J28 Staley, who donated $5 for Operator Starsky. Love the shout out to Life of Brian. Please more tales like The Hill. I'll have to email you my Life of Brian story. Blessed are the cheesemakers. Slava Ukraini, roast the orcs. And also, without a question, we received €2 from Mark Nick. If you'd like a question or a statement, please add us in the chat. And we are caught up.
Excellent. Wow, we did it. Yeah, thanks everybody. Very big thanks.
Yes,
let's see here. We could probably go right to some viewer questions if Dave is throat rested and all set and ready to come back to us.
I absolutely can. I know that Commander has had some issues with the internet connection. Maybe we should get them in now while they're fresh.
Oh yes, good shout. Good shout.
I actually was going to ask about the dam and the consequences of having the dam break as far as ecological or like tidal waves or something. You would know better than I. But when you were talking about the Nazis, I can tell you most definitely in the United States, the Nazis are pro-Putin. In Charlottesville, they were, amongst other things, they were screaming, Russia is our friend. So just wanted to get that out of the way. And I was doing I was writing a script to explain why dealing with the same thing that the Jews did in Hanukkah. And I went to the book, The Antichrist, and there you can find Vladimir Putin's psychology. But anyway, back to the dam. What will exactly happen?
I will just briefly return to your point on Nazis. So in July 2021, the Office of the Director of National Intelligence of the United States published their report that Russian Federation support or racially and ethnically motivated violent extremists. Russian Federation support of racially and ethnically motivated violent extremists, it can be found online, and it was made prior to this invasion, by the way. So you can ask any intelligence, because I had opportunity to talk to them about it. Any intelligence in the Europe or in the US will tell you that far leftists and far rightists in America and in Europe are controlled by Kremlin. You gotta scratch far leftist or far rightist, and under this layer you will find a bunch of rubles, basically. As for the dam, we consulted with our ecologists. So they say that, of course, one of the biggest threats is that there will be increase of the level of the Black Sea. There is something like 18 million tons, I think, of water stored in that Kakhovsky reservoir, which is pretty dangerous. And another thing is that I think it's mostly related to Russians, because in case they destroy that dam, they will stop water supply to Crimea. But who cares about people in Crimea, right? Like, when did Russians even care about them?
They don't. It's a society where I was watching UATV, and one of the things they do is they teach the weak obey the strong, and they have a culture of basically bully culture, toxic machismo.
They have this. This comes actually from this prison culture. I think I told you about it in some of the streams. So they have this widespread prison culture in Russia. They have понятия. Понятия is like this criminal codex, and a lot of teenagers enjoy this shit. They dream of getting jailed, you know. They have this prison chanson, and prison chanson in Russia is very different from French chanson, because French chanson is actually an art. Unlike that shit, your ears will be bleeding if you ever have a chance to hear that. Don't even risk. Don't even try to do that. In this prison culture, they have this loch. Loch is not a lake in Scotland. Loch in Russian culture is like a loser that requires to be bullied, and that's what they do. It's like when they see some kind of nerd, they, you know. So, like, I understand that those things happen all around the world. There are weaker people, there are nerds that cannot protect them in schools, there are bullies that bully them and stuff like that. But only in Russia, it's shaped into a culture. Unfortunately, we had the same in Ukraine, but luckily for Ukraine, I didn't see that shit for maybe 10 years already. They disappeared somewhere, I don't know. But in Russia, it's still preserved, unfortunately.
Doesn't the Zaporizhzhia? I'm sorry, I still can't pronounce. I'm sorry. Say that again.
Zaporizhzhia
nuclear power plant get its cooling water from that same from the damned water, so they would lose their cooling supply if that dam blows. Is that correct?
You are correct. As far as I remember, they receive this channel basically that is cooling Zaporizhian power plant. And you said Zaporizhian like a native Ukrainian, by the way. Yeah. So, as far as I remember, they take water from that Kakhovsky water reservoir, and there is a risk that they will not have enough water coming into this channel to cool down Zaporizhian power plant. So yeah, there is such a risk, and it can be a catastrophe because in case this happens, we will have to react very, very fast. We cannot do that because this power plant is almost fully controlled by Russians. So we cannot do anything in case this shit explodes. And if it does, oh my God.
If you're permitted to speculate, what do you think are the chances that he's going to do it?
I rather expect that they will try to do that because otherwise they would not plant mines around the Zaporizhian, around the dam.
Okay, I made it. Should we do a few shout outs then, Claire?
Yes.
Are y'all set and ready? All right.
Well, yeah, we can do that. Okay, so for $5 from Jean Mark Pagan Owl, we have Prime Minister Kim Pambo for British PM. Okay. I get the humor. There's a lot. I mean, we could vote a lot of people in, right?
What do I miss here?
Yeah,
Well, Kim Campbell ended up as Prime Minister of Canada due to political circumstances and whatnot, and is literally a record setter for shortness in office. And I think Lettucehead Trust or whatever her name is there actually beat it. Yeah.
Yeah. It's kind of a play on the
Veghead.
shortness of the recent Prime Minister in England.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's kind of a little bit of a double dig. Okay, so Junebug72 sent in $5, and she says, Officer Starsky, has the U.S. responded to Zelensky's plea re the dam situation?
We are expecting their response at this point. Nothing that I've heard of, unfortunately.
Okay. Simon Shorthouse for I think maybe $20, maybe Australian. I'm not sure. Does Starsky
my
know?
guess.
Yeah, I'm not as good with the amount of the money where it comes from as Aimee. My apologies, but I'll get better. Does Starsky know if ZNPP will still get water if the dam is destroyed? Also, I think the Article 5 question may have been related to Russia firing a missile near an RAF rivet joint plane over the Black Sea.
So again, I think we're lucky to have Nick here among us because I'm not a NATO soldier, and Nick has more competence in answering this question.
Nick seems to know everything.
I genuinely, when you said NATO, I thought you were going to say Nazi. It's like I know I'm not an expert, but Nick. Okay.
Oh, Dave!
Oh,
I was like, whoa!
It's always such a pleasure to see you, Dave.
NATO.
You know, Dave. What I like about having you on a stream, Dave, is the more you talk, the smarter I look. Anyways, please continue.
Wow. Okay, shots fired. Are you taking that question, Nick, or like okay? I'm ducking and weaving, but who's answering the question?
It's the same answer I gave last time. It has to be a deliberate attack on a member of NATO.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
There's wiggle room there if they really want it. And in this case, they don't. They're going to wait until it's an actual attack, and I highly doubt Putin's going to do it. If there's anything close to that, if NATO wants to get involved, they can. They really don't. So having said that, and Starsky had said something earlier that I think is actually really important. These are bullies, and there's a great reason to stop them. Everybody knows the reason, which is, hey, they'll continue and they'll wash across Europe, and all of that is completely true. But it's not just Putin. He's going to be replaced with somebody. We still have Kim Jong-un. We still have Khomeini. And if they see that this kind of behavior is rewarded, if he gets to keep Crimea, if he gets to, then other people will do this, and it will affect everybody. This is it's genocide, and it's evil, and all moral agents have to stop.
Set a horrible precedent for anybody thinking of anything like that. Yeah.
Yep.
I agree. Okay, for $5, Zomg 1103 says, Starsky, what is your Halloween costume, and why isn't it Professor X, and Fudge could be Magneto?
So I've sent my Halloween costume to the chat. I hope that Mr. Dawson can put it on the screen for you.
Oh,
and it's a genuine one. I used it in Krasnohorivka, I think. Yeah, it was in Krasnohorivka in 2016, 2015. You're gonna love it. And what was the second one?
It's Professor X with Magneto. Yeah, I think that would.
Well, Fudge is gonna be like a reindeer, I think.
A reindeer? Okay,
yeah.
That's cool. That's cool.
Yeah, that's my. That's
Professor X is the leader of the X-Men. It is it's a fictional character that does all of the superheroes that are genetically modified.
Yeah, he had no hair. Yeah, he was bald.
Yeah. Oh, so you got it. So you know who he is. Okay, great. All right.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, and that's my actual Halloween costume. So this is how I went on patrol. I swear, I looked like that.
Okay. And you're gonna have a reindeer with you. That's gonna be cool.
I'm gonna have a reindeer. I'm gonna give Fuchs like he will have a jumper, like red jumper, this cute one with like fluffy horns and I don't know.
Awesome.
Now that we need pictures of. I'm sure everybody would appreciate that. And we have one more from Arnold Degans for 5. Are there any predictions on how long it's going to take to repair all the damage done? So much devastation we see in the videos.
Wow, good one.
Excellent question. Thank you.
It's gonna take a lot of years, guys, but I believe that with the international help, with the international support, we'll be able to finally finish rebuilding. Maybe 10 years, because we're going about massive destruction. More than 100,000 residential buildings were completely destroyed in Ukraine. There are cities like Chernihiv, for example. The central part of city is more or less preserved, but everything around it, the suburbs, are destroyed by Russian missiles and artillery and tanks when they had fights there. And there are towns like Rubizhny, Severodonetsk, city of Mariupol that are almost completely erased by their bombings and artillery. So it's gonna take, just imagine how much time it takes to completely build a bunch of cities from scratch. Probably that much it will take.
Yeah, I mean, even at China's pace, it'd take a long time.
Yeah, and we are not China, unfortunately. We don't build a skyscraper a day.
Yeah,
yeah, but
who does? I mean,
yeah, but I anticipate that in the end we will have a lot of international construction companies, a lot of volunteers who will visit Ukraine and stay here and help us to rebuild our country. They will be paid, of course, because we already collect a rebuilding fund, and it's we anticipate that the foundation of this fund will be those frozen Russian assets that were arrested in the European banks. So we will have what to pay with, and I'm sure that there will be volunteers from around the world ready to come to Ukraine and help us.
Yeah, that's the important part, is that once perhaps the active war is over, right? Like, it doesn't stop there. There's the reconstruction. There's the need for everything, the rebuilding of everything inside and out. We're going to still need more help and still have to support Ukraine completely.
Huge.
In that, it doesn't stop. And we have one more. We turn it back over to questions. A statement from Inkboy for €5. As a person living in one of the Baltic countries, I can assure you that violating NATO airspace is not triggering Article 5. Thank you for your contribution.
Yeah, absolutely. Good show. Okay, cool.
Okay, we are caught up, Dick.
All right, so let's head it right back over to Dave and get some viewer questions in before we start pushing on time limits here.
Yeah, people are loving talking about the drones. There's one from Rodent No Last Name. Mark Hamill helped send 500 drones to Ukraine. How does it feel having Luke Skywalker on your side?
That's amazing.
It seems that we are on the right side of power. So the force is with us.
I love it. It's just so amazing. Mark Hamill, he's awesome. Still not the best actor, but he's awesome.
I mean, given the numbers I threw out earlier, that would be about, if my maths is correct, about $10 million US, which is probably peanuts for him, but it's like, it would be pretty amazing. Like, it's just one private investment. You wouldn't expect that from just one guy.
Yeah.
Guys,
the stakes there.
I want to say that there's no chance we lose this war with such a with such friends and such support. There's no chance for us to lose this war. It will be embarrassing. Stephen King is supporting Ukraine.
Yeah.
Yeah. I see
My
that.
my freaking idol. I don't know. Quentin Tarantino, by the way. He posted updates on his Instagram, I believe. A lot of updates from Ukraine. So, and
Awesome.
it makes me happy because to me it means that Ukraine stopped being some unknown country in the shadow of Russia. Finally, because it was dangerous, we didn't like it. And I'm very happy that we finally can be part of international society because this is what we wanted for such a long time, and we were unable to do that for different reasons.
You know what I foresee coming for sure is when the global community steps into Ukraine to help with rebuilding after, that is going to open up some long-term economic trade and growth and all kinds of things as it happens too. It should end up being a very positive thing, once everything's fixed. And, the sadness part is not quite so, but, I do see some good things coming from that.
Yeah, absolutely. And we were part of international trade. The only thing was that we didn't have this agreement that we have right now with the European Union regarding taxes, I think. Yeah. So now it will be.
I'm sure
even better.
Nick could explain it.
Yeah, probably.
No, I actually don't know that one. So sorry.
Oh wow.
Yeah, so you had to, for example, you cannot go to any other country in Europe, even though we can travel around Europe without visa required. But it's not like you can travel to another country, get a cheap but good car in a good condition, and bring it to Ukraine and use it because you were required to pay some crazy amount of money. I'm glad that we don't have that shit anymore. It will be canceled, or is it already canceled? Which makes life much easier, luckily. So yeah, we were part of this trade, but it wasn't as accessible as it will be now, which again makes me very, very happy.
Cool. Yeah.
Cool. Dick, is that a telescope behind you?
Yeah, Celestron 130 equatorial mount. It's got the little motor for pre-computer tracking. It's a decent one. We got a couple of Barlows and a nice kit of lenses and everything. Funny thing, when my son and we bought the telescope a couple years back, Christmas, and we get it home and we set it all up, and that's when it started to hit me how much more I was going to end up spending on Barlows and eyepieces and whatnot. It didn't take long for me to go, oh, this is just the beginning, but it's totally worth it, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I had a smaller Celestron, and I used it to spy after my neighbors, and it was very nice. So in 2019, I think I brought it to our recon guys. Because my neighbors told me that they will call police next time. So I brought it to my recon guys, to the Svetlodarsk Bulge. They painted it like green and stuff.
Oh my God. Okay. We got a couple of shouts. If Claire's all set and ready, we should switch into high gear here.
Okay. Thank you, Dick. From Zong, 1103 410. What would be a good sources for following directly what is happening ecologically there in Ukraine? Like people doing what you're doing, but focused on the environment.
Oh.
Okay, let me see. So, let me check this for you if this is available in English. Yes. No. Oh my God. It's a good question, actually, because I never thought about it. Okay, let's do this thing. I will check with our foreign ministry what kind of informational resources we have in English regarding this, because it's very important. We have this big news portal in Ukraine. It's called ukr.net, Ukrnet, where you can basically see all of the news compiled in one place, but unfortunately it's only in Ukrainian and Russian.
Oh, okay.
Let us know, and then we can shut it out in a community post, and you can as well, and whatnot, and then boom,
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So from level 70 for $6.99, how can Ukraine lose when it's supported by Luke Skywalker? And I agree. Thank you very much. Of course. How can we? No, Mark Hamill ran a fundraiser also for drones and etc. on his page, and he's Luke Skywalker. So from Siri Jeffrey Claude, $2. What can a U.S. citizen do to get Biden to do more? You have any suggestions on how us Americans can encourage American politics?
Guys, I think that you know better than me because I'm Ukrainian.
Mm-hmm.
I have a thought on that.
You have bigger experience with democracy than I do.
Yes, Nick.
I have no interest in getting Biden to do more. That's not entirely true, but that's not the concern. The concern right now is the Republicans have said that if they get back in power, they will cut as much funding as possible for Ukraine, and they will get us out of it entirely. That is staggering. That's what's going to happen if they get back Congress, and that's their goal. And they, whether or not they're going to succeed, really depends on who you ask and what they're assuming going into it. So the problem isn't getting Biden to do more; it's to keep the Republicans from ending our support, and that is their goal.
Exactly. It takes too long to get it through anyway. To have it all reversed would be heartbreaking. No, I agree, Nick. Remember, no vote, no voice, Americans. If you feel strongly, get out there. Tell them so. Okay, from Martin Lefebvre for $5. Starsky, you think the forced evacuations of civilians in Kherson may be just Russia wanting human shields when crossing the Dnipro? More music, please.
Yes, we had such a suspicion. We absolutely know that they relocated a lot of Ukrainian children to the Russian territory. As of today, there's something like tens of thousands of children that were stolen from Ukraine and relocated to Russia, basically deported from Ukraine. So knowing Russians, they will absolutely use Ukrainians as a shield, because no matter what they say about like annexation of those territories, technically they're still Ukrainian, and they care about Ukrainians even less than they care about their own people. Not sure if they do at all.
Okay. And from Sam Williams, welcome Sam, for New Zealand, $10. There's no chance of losing this war due to the sacrifices of the Ukrainian people. They are pillars of strength in this shitty war. And then she sends a statement to you in Ukraine, I believe, which can be translated to "Together we are strong and victory will be ours."
How did you know that?
Google Translate. I make no claims to know Ukrainian. Google Translate told me.
That blew me away. I thought for sure she was just reading it. What the hell?
No, honest bear. Absolutely. Google is my friend. There you go. Well, thank you.
Thanks, Sam. Yeah.
Can you read it in Ukraine for them? Oh, Starsky, can you see it? Can you read it for them? Because I could
Razom-
never pronounce
Razom-
it.
I can read it. I'm slow, but
Heshim min kimbin nibje.
Oh, dear Lord.
Is that 6? What is it?
so Razom is sila I peremova udje za nami. I think.
You know,
my
Nick,
God,
there's
There's
pills.
Definitely 3.
There's pills that can help you with that, Nick. I'll give you the link.
Yeah, I've seen Dave on them. I've seen the effects. Thank you. I'm all set.
no. Okay. Well, to bring it back to Sam, thank you very much, Sam. I'm sure we all share that sentiment, regardless of how Nick just mangled that. We all do agree with you. It is a wonderful sentiment, and I shall forever use Google Translate. Thank you, gentlemen.
Wise. That's very wise.
Okay. There's just one more before I turn it back over to you guys. From Inkboy for €5. After war is over, how will Ukraine deal with all the unexploded Russian ordnance?
It's a big problem actually, because there was a lot of them. There are still EODs and Russian shells being found in Hostomel since April. So there will be a lot of problems. It will take years. I'm sure that unfortunately there will be casualties because a lot of area is still mined. But again, Ukrainian engineers have a lot of experience because we did demining in different areas in former Yugoslavia, in Iraq, in Afghanistan. And of course, I know that a lot of volunteers will be helping them as well.
I have a great idea, actually. What we have to do is get a bunch of B-52s, and we could load them up with all the unexploded ordnance and whatnot, and, you know, maybe drop it on the Kremlin and some other places like that.
Sounds good. Sounds good.
Yeah. I think it'd be fun. You know, you could bring the little ones and let them push one off the back, you know. There you go. Hey, look, kid, you got Putin's house. Woo-hoo! Nice shot, buddy.
Oh, wow.
Ukrainian National Guard supports this statement.
It's like a daddy-daughter day, but for like the military. You know.
Oh, that's funny.
Unless they're all mobilized, there will be only older people to play with that.
Well, you know, at least somebody will get the fun out of it, though.
Yeah.
Right. I think that's the main thing. You know, taking some good old-fashioned enjoyment from the destruction of your enemies' homes.
There you go.
So yeah, we still got a little bit of time. We get a couple of questions in, or you know, where should we go here? I can't do any of the jokes and gags. OBS is hanging on by a thread here, so I dare not touch anything but just do what we're doing until the credits. I despise version 28, and I'll fight you if you say otherwise. I never should have done it. I'm going to go back and fix it this week, though. It's driving me crazy. So yeah, why don't we turn to Dave for a couple of questions here, and you know, see where we end up.
Sure thing. I'm just trying to find one of the questions that was on. I'll find the exact person in a second. It was a question basically going back to talking about the grain shipments and how they might have slowed down. I don't know if you know any information on that.
Unfortunately, I don't. The last thing I heard about it was that Russians were blocking it. And we also heard that Russians stole 100 million worth of grain. $100 million worth of grain.
Wow.
So how many does that feed? Do you know? How does that convert?
A lot.
It's in millions, I would assume.
It's in million. Yes, it's in millions dollars.
Yeah. That's pretty fucking scandalous. I mean, a lot of that goes to like Africa and places that are just being sort of dragged into this, which suggests
Tunisia, Morocco, those countries, they require Ukrainian grain. Other countries deeper into African continent, I know for sure about Tunisia and Morocco because they have problems with fertile lands, and that's why we trade grain with them and make sure that they don't suffer without food. So those countries can suffer from that, from those shortages.
Yeah, I know when we were talking about this a few months ago, they have to go traveling through Turkey, on the other side of the Black Sea, and in order to get ships into that sea, you have to go through Istanbul, I think. Is that right? So the diplomacy between everyone and the Turkish, basically the Turks hold a significant number of cards in this. I don't want to refer to it as a game, but you know what I mean. That this is it's concerning then when we hear various different talks of, I can't quite remember what we said maybe last week, the other week, about closer ties between, is it Russia setting up energy in something to do with Turkey just to try and sort of divert their oil through them into Europe? Am I getting my wires crossed?
Rather through Armenia, I think. But
Okay.
I don't think Armenia is a big friend of Turkey.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Yeah, from what I remember, Azerbaijan basically said that they can build this line and help Europe with their resources, with their oil and gas.
Well, we still got time for a few more, so why don't we get to Dave again and get a couple of viewer questions in before it's time for our goodbyes and farewells and all that fun stuff?
Yeah, sure thing. The actual question from Sweet, it was actually very similar. I heard that the grain shipments have slowed down. How Ukraine can demolish the Russian Black Sea fleet. I don't know the logistics of that and how easy that would be, and whether that would constitute something bigger than just, I guess, you've taken out the mosque and they're raping your kids. Fuck it, just bomb them. I don't care.
Yeah. So the reason we cannot destroy Russian Black Sea fleet is because it stays out of range of our anti-ship missiles, those that were used to destroy their flagship Moskva that turned into a freaking submarine. But currently they're based on the southeastern part of the Black Sea, southeast from Crimea, basically. We cannot reach them there yet.
There's a couple people are asking if Max got enough money for a car yet.
I don't think so. I called him today. He would have told me. But I know that he's collecting money for a car, and this charity Vatra, by the way, those girls that bring like vests and helmets to Ukrainian soldiers and uniform, they also collect money for them for this car, because on the front lines, transportation is, you will be waiting for your bus for a long time, which is very crucial for them because they're press service, and they're doing a great job recording those videos from the front lines. I saw a bunch of videos today. Max sent me them through Telegram. His content is worth seeing.
Yeah, I'd agree there for sure. Absolutely. So let's see. I think Dave had another one, and then it's just kind of, chitter chatter until we're done.
Yeah, it was an interesting one. I wasn't quite sure what this meant from Richard Parnell. Should the Wagner soldiers be treated as prisoners of war or treated as terrorists?
So according to international legislation, they will be treated as criminals, as mercenaries, because there is no international legislation regulating mercenaries, basically. Those are criminals. In case the court recognizes them as terrorists, of course, they will be treated as terrorists.
Yeah.
So just to clarify, even just from my own understanding, what's the difference between the mercenary? They like a private individual?
It's like this. There is a legitimate army, okay? Legitimate army regulated by the state, where people pledge their alliance to the state, they receive their weapons, and they are regulated by the state. Then there are mercenaries. There are legitimate mercenaries like the French Foreign Legion, for example. Then there is like International Legion here in Ukraine, another one. Then there are different groups. For example, Wagner was used in Syria. They tried to acquire control over different oil facilities. They were used in Africa, again, to acquire Russian control over diamond mines and stuff like that. Those will be treated as terrorists, as criminals. According to international legislation, if there are combatants, okay, representatives of the fighting parties, then there are everybody else, mercenaries, I don't know, criminals, bandits,
asshats, dumb fucks.
Yeah.
I guess the question, therefore, is how do you know who is legitimately as like a private bounty hunter and who is being ordered to do a particular task?
So it's very simple. Currently, according to European Parliament, Russian army is a terrorist regime as well, is part of terrorist regime. But still we treat them according to Geneva Convention because nobody canceled Geneva Convention. Then there is Wagner. Wagner is a private military company that officially doesn't exist, but its chief, Prigozhin, is a big friend of Putin, and he used this, of course, and he used this Wagner group in different conflicts around the world, when Russia would prefer not to be officially involved into some kind of conflict, like I don't know, like in Syria, in those oil affairs. So they would use those. In Donbass, for example, since 2016, I guess, this Wagner group is also introduced. People from Donbass also were recruited into this Wagner mercenary company and brought to Syria. So yeah, they use those people wherever they want to make sure that officially Russia is not involved. And also, you remember that video where Russians were recruiting convicts from Russian prison? So that was Prigozhin. He basically was recruiting them into Wagner group. It's like they are trained by the Russian army. They are given Russian supplies from Russian army. but officially they are not part of the Russian army. And they are not combatants. They are basically like mercenaries, like criminals.
Right. Let's turn to Claire here. We got a couple of shout outs we can do, and we're caught up and we can say some goodbyes and stuff.
Okay, so first a statement from Mr. E30, who has donated 1542. I watched a rejected grain shipment, now only usable as animal feed, unloaded in Turkey due to salt water contamination. The ship was old and rusted. Reason given is the major grain shipping companies are worried about traveling in the Black Sea. Thank you very much for your donation and statement.
Wow.
And
the problem is not traveling around the Black Sea. The problem is that those ships are being held in some spot for quite a while, for a month maybe, and of course the grain gets spoiled. So that's the problem. We didn't have such problems previously before Russia attacked Ukraine.
Yeah. That's terrible. It affects everything. From Chris Phillips for €5. Starsky, do you think the orcs will come from Putler's swingers party friend from the north?
I still believe so, because we have information that Russian troops are equipping and developing their military base. Specifically, it's in the area of Zabrovka in Belarus. So recently we saw satellite images from that area. We noticed that they brought a lot of anti-air systems, like S-300 systems. They installed them around this airfield. Basically, this airfield is given to Russians completely by Belarusian government. And we expect that Russians will use this airport because it's very close to Ukraine. It's south of Homel, I think. They will be using this airfield as an air bridge between the main Russian territory and Belarus in order to feed that group that will be attacking Ukraine. We are preparing to that. I'm 100% confident that they will attack from the north eventually. Then, of course, you will have a lot of new videos from the front lines, from Operator Starsky. But anyways, the problem with that is I will be happy to fail with this prediction. Honestly, I will be happy if this never happens and you will be, like laughing at me, saying like I suck with my predictions. But we are preparing for that. I'm sure it will happen. I analyzed the messages that were shared by Belarusian government, and I'm sure that it's gonna happen eventually at some point. At this point, Lukashenko is trying to avoid this direct involvement as much as he can, but he cannot do that forever, and eventually he will crack and he will give an order. So yeah, I will have to change the background for a while.
We had a great comment from Ugly German Truths. If Russian forces equip in Belarus, the Ukrainians will need to be better prepared for things like hay forks, spears, wagon forts.
This sounds sick. I'm gonna grab a sword, and of course, I'm not sure if Fuchs gonna like it, but
either way, it's a good look for you, Starsky.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Belarus has deliberately given away most of its weapons to the Russian forces. So they've given their weapons to the Russian forces saying, oh, we support you, here are all the weapons. That way they have an excuse not to go in because they don't have the weapons now. So that's exactly, he's right. It's going to, if they go in at this point, it's going to be pitchforks and like those, my daughter makes these cardboard cutout things for Halloween. It's like, that's going to be their armor. Their body armor is just going to be like boxes that they just put on.
Slingshots and spitballs, man.
Oh my God! I analyzed Belarusian special forces. They made this kick-ass music video about Belarusian special forces being deployed on the border to deflect Ukrainian invasion into Belarus. And it's hilarious. Like, I saw the same mistakes we made in 2014 probably, in terms of, they have I wouldn't say that they have bad equipment, bad gear. No, it's not like that, but judging from the way they are being deployed from those cars, trying to cover themselves, which looks cringy, judging from the fact that they don't mask their equipment using grass branches and stuff like that. Oh my God. I mean, it's so cringy to watch, as if you're watching Ukrainian army in 2010. Yeah, their equipment, those like black boots, black knee pads that you can see from a mile away, because like there's nothing black, like there's nothing completely black in the nature. In 2016, when my first company was trained, my first infantry company of the 1st Infantry Battalion of my brigade, we were trained, and instructors explained us that, guys, you gotta make sure that you don't produce any sound when you move, that you don't produce any image of being human at all in the nature. You gotta mask your face, because even if you are completely disguised and blurred with the environment, your face is the thing that anybody will recognize mile away, even if you're wearing like balaclava mask, because this is how our brain works.
Yeah, it's pattern recognition. It's been bred into us through eons of evolution, right? I mean, it's an inherent skill that is needed. It's just life.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's why we spent countless hours just wandering around forests in our training grounds, and learning how to mask ourselves and blur with the environment and stuff, and make sure that our gear doesn't, produce any sound, and our water as well doesn't produce any sound when we move, run, and stuff like that. Funny moment was when it was like so we spent like either 2 or 3 days in the fields with all our gear, with all our ammunition. I had this 10-kilogram backpack. I hate those days, but it was funny. And yeah, it's like we masked ourselves completely, like we had camouflage on our faces and stuff. But eventually it's, erased. It got deleted. So there was a guy in my platoon. This guy was kind of, there are like people, like clumsy people. Sometimes they get dirty here and there, like without noticing it, like, and they don't care pretty much. So this guy was digging a foxhole, and like he rubbed his nose and then his eye, and so he was like, his face was black, from the spoil. It was unintentionally, but when our battalion commander lined us up, he said, "Oh, check him out. This dude cares about his, these guys, so he deserves a day off." And we were like, what the hell? And then the other day it repeated because we were digging like foxholes in other area, and this guy was dirty like a freaking devil. And again, our battalion commander was talking to us, and he's like, "Oh, look at him. You gotta take him as an example because he cares about this. So he has another day off." Oh, shit. Yeah, it was funny. And then we had a freaking deer, big wild deer, jumping into a trench with our guys. It was hilarious.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Like, I was smoking in my foxhole. I heard this sound as if like some big dude wearing all kinds of gear that you can imagine, just running like crazy. And I was like, what the hell? So I peeked outside. I saw like a huge freaking deer, and it was running towards my foxhole. He saw, like, this deer saw me. It turned and jumped into a bigger trench with my boys. It was hilarious.
Wow, cool. Very cool. Well, we're a little over time, but I mean, I don't think we're, if it's not too late for you, Starsky, it seems like everybody's really enjoying the chit chat. We can always keep her around for a few more minutes here.
Yeah,
what's everybody think? Yeah. I mean, it's a nice Saturday afternoon for me. It's perfect. It really works well. That deer wanted to enlist.
It really did. In fact, at first, first deer tried to attack us. We were, our column was moving through the forest. We heard the same sound, and the deer just flew through our column, luckily without killing anybody, and it was big. And then that one, we had a lot of deers there in our forest. One time, so we had this wargaming, like one platoon would hide in the forest. The task for another platoon was to find this platoon and eliminate it. And of course, we tried to mask ourselves and stuff like that. So I was lying down among like younger pine trees. At some point, I noticed that it smells like shit around me. Then I realized that the place that I picked, the spot that I picked as my hiding spot, basically was used by all local deers as a public toilets, and those little balls that they leave, after themselves, they were like everywhere in my. I had this small system, and those balls, I had to pick them from this mall. Took quite a lot of time.
Oh, that's funny. That's funny. Okay, I'm going to have about 10 minutes because I was just informed by my son that I better get lunch going soon or I am in trouble.
Oh, actually, I have like a video.
Oh,
okay.
From those times, and I'm gonna throw it to you.
Yeah.
Here it is. It's on Facebook, but I hope that you will able to see it. But it's like we were running with my company. I was a first company sergeant at that time, and we were running and shouting some silly song that I wrote for my company. it was so cringy. Like, I'm analyzing it right now. It sounds so cringy after all the deployments that we had. But back then we were just like, training and stuff. And yeah, it was cool.
I almost got it here.
Okay.
Oh, well, while we're working on that, I did want to say one very important thing, because I think this got overlooked. When I think of the best actors in human history, I think of Sir Laurence Olivier, Sir Anthony Hopkins, and Mark Hamill. Dick. Jesus.
I knew I'd catch flack for that remark.
Have you heard his Joker? Actually are going to have this discussion, apparently.
Yeah. Well, okay. When you throw Joker into the mix, okay. But, but I wanted to go and get some power converters. I mean, he was just a kid. Rough. I know.
He was little. He was young. I know. I'm with you, Nick. Hey, do you think he has no room to talk? He's never even seen Princess Bride. Just disregard.
Oh dear. That's it. I can't even.
Yeah.
I can't even admit I know him anymore.
I get in trouble for this so often. I gotta watch it just to shut you people up.
As an American, it's why you're over there in Canada. That alone. Stay. The borders are locked. Stay there.
Oh, that's funny. Okay, here. I do have this video ready. So let me get this set up so everybody can enjoy it, not just us twits and whatnot. Okay, here we go. All right. So is there audio? Do I have to I never use Facebook. Okay, there is. Okay.
Those are my troops, and that
Whose mom was that?
That wasn't mom. That was our medic, and she still is our medic. Yeah. The thing about being a company NCO, unlike being an officer, like a captain, for example, is that officers sometimes they have benefits. They again, I'm talking from the officer's standpoint. They have benefits. If you want to ditch PT, for example, you can do that. You're an officer. Which again wasn't really cool, because our battalion commander is like an NCO for officers. Okay, so if they ditch that, he will punish them. But in case you are NCO, you cannot do that. No. Right. I remember you wake up in December, and our tent from inside, it was covered with ice. And I wake up, I open this sleeping bag, and going out is the least thing I want to do at 6 a.m. in December, in the middle of Ukraine. Yeah. And then my company commander, he's like, dude, go bring them to the PT. I'm like, yes, sir. So I go out. I line up all the guys, the whole company, and because I am the company first sergeant, I gonna run with them all the distance, and I, of course, because I gotta be there. I gotta show them the example, right?
Yeah.
So I gotta run first. I gotta show them the way and stuff like that. Now I'm an officer.
Yeah. Now you get to tell others to do it and kick your feet up.
yeah, but it doesn't help. It still doesn't help because whenever our guys run a 30-kilometer march, I have to run with them and make a video of that.
Yeah. And that's
I ran 4 times.
Yeah. Counting. Well, I hate to kill a good chat, but let's turn it to Claire. We got a shout out to do, and then we should probably say our goodbyes and all, because I will be slaughtered by my own child if I don't get lunch ready soon. So
yeah, let's support the decrease of bloodshed. Totally. Okay. So from Mark Beiser for 10, he makes the statement: Boston Dynamics Gundog robots for Ukraine. Not very combat effective, but even just hearing them near your position on the battlefield would sow terror in the orcs. Sounds interesting. Thank you, Mark, very much.
The Ukrainian army presented this octocopter, I think, like bigger drone, equipped with PKM, with the machine gun. So basically now we can shoot orcs from the air, which is amazing. And as for the Boston Dynamics, yeah, they're probably not very effective, but they look cool.
Well, I think on that note, why don't we do a little goodbyes and whatnot, and shill what you got to shill and all that stuff. So let's turn it over to Nick first here. What's happening your way?
Freaking does one line poorly, and all of a sudden he's a terrible actor. I just fucking what the.
You're a little stuck, ain't you?
I just don't even know what to say anymore.
You're gonna have to do a stream on it.
I think so.
I suggest an hour. Yeah.
It won't take that long to skewer him for his views on. Let's do that in about 30 seconds. My name is Nick Soutter. I am the host and executive producer of In Time. We do news, politics, and culture. I used to love Dave and his work until he came on our show, and now I'm not on speaking terms with him anymore. But it's we've had Starsky on a few times. In fact, we're going to have Starsky on every Friday now, 1 p.m. Eastern, to help us out. It's news. We do interviews, current events. We've been keeping up a lot with what's going on, the January 6th Commission. We do international news and anything that affects the world in general, keeping up with also the flooding in Pakistan, various other things. So hope you guys will check that out. Also, I will say, and I said this earlier, there's a lot of people watching this show, and so that tells me that a lot of people like it, and we've been getting a lot of super chats, and that's awesome. The algorithm, we are all slaves to the algorithm. Best way to help out a channel aside from the super chats, hit the like button. Just hit the like button. Hit it now. If this is the show's wrapping up, it helps. It really helps. I know Dick doesn't like talking about it. I don't like talking about it. We'd rather be doing the shows. We do it because it actually really does help, and it's free. So I hope you guys will do that. Thank you guys very much for having me on. I really appreciate it. And Dick is muted, which is, by the way, my favorite way to watch the show.
Okay. It's still, the line was still delivered terribly, but good shouts. Well done. Let's check in with, how about yourself, Claire? What are you thinking?
I'm thinking it was a great show. I always love being here and getting the update from Starsky, and appreciate how he brings the human part to it and his humor. I have to say I'm quite impressed. I just adore the man. And thanks for having me. And regardless of your taste in movies, we will tolerate and come back. And I'm a little uncomfortable at all the hate Dave gets. I don't know why. I realize I realize he's a bit of a pedant, but he's English. Like, you got to give him a pass, okay? Okay. I love him. I do like being here. Thank you so much for including me. Thank you, everyone, for the super chats and for tolerating my mispronunciations. I'll get better. Your grace is truly appreciated. And on that, back to you, Dick.
All right. Good shouts. Commander, what do you think? Is the connection working for you? Are you able to unmute and give us a little goodbye moment?
Yeah. This show was an excellent show. A lot of good information. Great seeing you again. And, Coca-Cola's dragging its feet on sponsorship, but they should get their act together. And everyone have a great day. And remember, there's a sale on orc meat, and it's only going to last maybe another, hopefully not too long. And then it'll be expensive again. So have a great day.
Oh, no. That was awesome. And let's turn to everybody's least favorite streamer, Fallacy Dave.
Not everybody. Still a fan, Dave. Don't let them include me. Okay.
I'm just being my name. Go for it.
That's my slogan. Naturally, everyone's got a fantastic original outro. So I'm going to steal this instead from BT Clan from earlier, who said, do your countrymen who may not have a global presence access like you do, Starsky, realize how much love and support is constantly being sent your way? If not, how do we let you know?
We absolutely do let them know as much as we can, because we send them all kinds of messages from you guys. We send them your letters, again, those drawings that were made by New Zealand kids went to my brigade, and guys know that they receive a lot of equipment, they receive a lot of good wishes, they cooperate, they actually fight in the same trench, shoulder to shoulder with international volunteers who came to defend Ukraine as well. So this support is, of course, felt by all Ukrainian soldiers, our artillerists as well, that use 777s on the front lines. So we all feel that, we all know that, and the most crucial thing is that it must be this way. Because if we are able to leave because of this support, and if it stops, it's bad.
Yes, very much so. I want to give a huge shout out to everybody that shows up and joins us live and watches the show after, and a really big shout out to everybody who donates in and super chats and supports the channel in a number of different ways. And okay, I'll suck it up and say it. Please like, share, and subscribe. Oh, fuck, that tastes awful coming out of your mouth. I tell you, it's the Canadian in me. I can't fucking do it. But Slava Ukraini, let's all keep up and do as much as we can. And let's hand it off to Starsky to give us the final thoughts of the day.
Thank you so much for supporting my country and my people. We will never forget that. And you are awesome. Always happy to see familiar names in the chat, as usual. Thank you so much.
Awesome. With that, I think we can just say Slava Ukraini, and we'll see you soon, fellow babies. Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Take care.
Good night.
Nick.
I'm going to hit the button.
Hit the button.
Mark Hamilton.
Oh!
It's over. Go home.